but sure to be racy, Heavy Metal game. Most film game tie-ins are just afterthoughts, but not this one. Heavy Metal Fact 2 begins where the movie ends. And dinosaurs run amok in the spooky Resident Evil-style thriller, Dino Crisis. Plus, Goldberg and Sting get frisky in the ring. It's our review of WCW Mayhem. Stick around. It's game time. Hello and welcome. I'm Dash. This week on Gamespot TV, we have a look at the upcoming game that's a sequel to a new sequel. Confused? Well, you may remember the Heavy Metal movie from '81, or perhaps you know the magazine, or maybe you weren't even born yet. Well, now Kevin Eastman of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fame and B-movie star Julie Strange are hard at work on Heavy Metal Fact 2.
In a sea of darkness, we almost drowned. Time was at an end. It all seemed lost on the melting pot.
Controversial maybe, but death and destruction are favorite themes for many of today's PC games. But the guys at Ritual Entertainment say, you ain't seen nothing yet.
The video game that we're making is Heavy Metal Fact 2. It's based around Kevin Eastman's animated feature film that's coming out at the end of the year called Heavy Metal Fact 2.
I wanted to do this, a story that took place on a planet called the Melting Pot that really no rules or logic applied there, that you could get away with anything. Basically, it was an excuse not to draw humans and human-like characters.
But Kevin manages to squeeze in one human. Fact 2, the hero who must protect her planet from the invading GIF industries.
I brought this female character in based on my wife, Julie Strain, and made her into the lead character, the likeness of her, and her attitude, her heart and soul, and, meshed it around into the movie that's Heavy Metal Fact 2.
Heavy Metal Fact 2 is being designed by guys who created the game and levels for Sin, Quake add-ons, and Duke Nukem 3D. Given a lot of creative freedom and the Quake 3 technology to work with, level designer Tom Mustaine says the challenges were easily solved.
Not many hurdles initially. It's just been a real flow for us since the beginning. That's one of the reasons why we jumped on this license. It's a definite, we love it.
Besides making the game look great, the team's main goal is to stay true to the heavy metal world that Eastman created.
Essence, when you open that magazine up, transferred into our media, it's gonna be kick-ass. I mean, if we can accomplish that, then we're gonna do a damn good job with this property.
But the same devotion could also be the game's Achilles heel. Staying true means nudity and violence, and lots of it. The attention could be detrimental or not.
We make games for ourselves. We make games for people in our age group who love action films, who love animated violence on games. It's a way of getting our aggression in a safe and somewhat positive way.
We're going to try and get away with as much as possible, but a lot of it is like the Statue of David is not a naked guy standing there, it's art.
As a game veteran, Richard Gray believes video games, violent or not, are nothing but harmless forms of entertainment.
We figure with all the retribution from all this violence to head back to me being 41, growing up in the 70s, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. We grew up, we didn't kill people, we just sat in our bedrooms and drew pictures, and so that's where we're heading, back to soft porn, just like the Heavy Metal magazine.
As adults, we're saying, hey, this is what we like, and this is what we're going to do.
Although Kevin Eastman has set some guidelines on the game.
I just said they couldn't kill any small furry animals. That's all. That was the only thing I said. You do anything you want, just nothing small and furry.
Oops. We'll take the fur off.
Heavy Metal Fact 2 is set to hit the civilized world this winter. Brace yourselves.
The $15 million animated movie Heavy Metal Fact 2 will hopefully open by the end of the year. Check out Ritual's website for more info. It's time now for some game news.
In this week's game news, Square has announced that the first Final Fantasy title for the PlayStation 2 will be playable online. EA and Origin Systems have announced a third sequel to Ultima Online, with beefed-up graphics and animation. Pac-Man turns 20 this year, and to celebrate that event, Namco will be releasing a 3D version of the game for the PlayStation October 14th. And in response to accusations of a Lara Croft breast reduction, a core spokesman claims that the developers have done nothing of the sort for the upcoming Tomb Raider: The Last Revelation. It's merely an illusion created by an increase in polygons and improved lighting.
If you're looking for up-to-the-minute news from the gaming world, go to the news section of the Gamespot.com website. And if you're interested in more about Kevin Eastman or heavy metal and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fame, go to the Gamespot TV website to see our in-depth coverage on heavy metal Fact 2. Coming up on Gamespot TV, we lose a few teeth in our raucous review of NHL 2000 and talk smack in our review of WCW Mayhem when Gamespot TV returns. Peter Molyneux was one of the originators of the God game genre, but he hasn't been resting on his laurels. Let's see what he's been up to with his new company, Lionhead Studios. Here's an early sneak peek at Black and White.
Black and White will be the first release from Peter Molyneux's new company, Lionhead Studios. Known for his interesting and quirky game designs, from Populous to Theme Park, Peter Molyneux is making the God game to end all God games. But how did the idea of Black and White come about? Peter had this to say.
I can remember very, very clearly when I was a kid coming up to this ant's nest and just initially getting this stick and shaking it around in this ant's nest, and all the ants would, get all angry and bubble and boil. And after a while I realized if you put a bit of sugar out, then the ants would come out and start eating away at the sugar, and you could get a magnifying glass and burn them. And it was, in a way, as a kid, it was like controlling a little world, and that's a little bit of what is in Black and White.
Graphically, the 3D world of Black and White is amazing and extremely detailed. From the tiniest worm to an overall look at the planet, players will be able to have a complete view of the world. The design of the world and citizens will be directly influenced by decisions made by the player. In Black and White, players will grow and train their very own creature. The creature's personality and look will change depending on how it is treated and how the player acts in the world. In addition to their creatures, players will also have their very own worshippers.
The idea that just like in an ant's nest, I can go and stir it up, you can just be mean and vicious, and just like in an ant's nest, you can go and feed them, and you can be really nice.
Black and White's single-player game is planned as an open-ended set of events based in a persistent world. There will be no levels, just an expanding playing area for you to try to dominate. And both the single-player and multiplayer games will be interchangeable, allowing players to take their creatures back and forth between the two. Overall, Black and White looks to be an innovative and exciting new game on the horizon. Would-be deities can look for Lionhead Studios' Black and White, second quarter 2000.
Moving on to fantasy creatures on a smaller scale, next up we have Chocobo Racing, a game that combines fast cars and fast chickens. The game's not exactly brilliant, but we dug the intro. Now, if racing along with cute little animals just isn't your cup of tea, and you thirst for hard ice and cold blood, take a look at this review of NHL 2000 for the PC.
On goal, and the game has been played pretty evenly so far.
At first glance, NHL 2000 looks a lot like NHL 99, but rest assured, this is definitely not the case. With NHL 2000, EA Sports comes closer than ever to achieving a perfect balance between realistic gameplay and graphic appeal.
Adam gets possession.
Compared to previous versions, the computer opponents in NHL 2000 are craftier, quicker, and more skilled. Watch out for those hip checks, because this time around, computer opponents forecheck more aggressively and get back into a defensive position after a turnover. Graphically, NHL 2000 is beautiful. New animations for shots and checks are augmented by a new face mapping system that makes every player look like his real-life counterpart. And better yet, you can import a picture of yourself and have it mapped onto a custom player of your own creation. One new significant feature is the internet multiplayer support, complete with an EA-maintained lobby system. The gameplay can be choppy, but it does work.
Adam drills a shot from the left. He's stopped.
The only thing NHL 2000 deserves to be criticized for is the high number of injuries that take place during an average game. Although it does force you to manage a roster by trading for new talent and juggling lines to bolster an injury-riddled squad. Overall, NHL 2000 is the best hockey game EA Sports has ever produced. For veterans and rookies, this game is worth the investment. Michael Ryan of Gamespot.com gave NHL 2000 a rating of 9 out of 10.
Tonight's first star for Boston, number 15, Adam.
If you'd like to read more on NHL 2000, check out the review on Gamespot.com. And if you fancy yourself a bit of a sports game expert, come to our message boards and share your tips and strategies with other gamers. You'll find the message boards in the Interact section of our website. Coming up on Gamespot TV, giant leftover lizards are living on a remote island. Can you survive the horror? The horror. We review Dino Crisis. And we visit the Velodrome in Trick Style, the futuristic hoverboard game for the Dreamcast. Welcome back. If you like Resident Evil, Silent Hill, or any of the other games in that Sleep with the Lights On genre, you'll most likely be into our next game. It's full-on horror with a reptilian touch.
Dino Crisis is an excursion into the world of survival horror. Conceived and directed by Shinji Mikami, the mastermind behind the Resident Evil games, Dino Crisis has a similar feel to Resident Evil, though the shuffling zombies have been replaced by velociraptors and other big lizards with lightning-fast reflexes and huge appetites. Dino Crisis is played through the eyes of the heroine Regina, a special forces agent sent to investigate an island which happens to be a paleontologist's playground. The game is quite cinematic, and the camera angles are designed to provide the maximum tension possible. The soundtrack provides chills and thrills. The simple act of walking down a hallway becomes a terrifying experience when the violins start playing. The backgrounds in Dino Crisis are fully polygonal, the character models are well done, and the excellent light sourcing effects give Regina and her posse a solid feel. The use of polygonal backgrounds also works to enhance a feeling of fear. Dino Crisis pays close attention to detail, including character damage. If Regina takes a beating, she'll hold her side and limp. If she takes a lot of damage, she'll stagger about and drip blood on the floor, which adds to the realism of the game. Fortunately, there are plenty of power-ups like health kits and weapons. Dino Crisis' storyline is sound, and the replay value is high, with 3 different endings to reveal and a multitude of secrets to find. James Melky gives the creepy dinosaur chiller an 8.5 out of 10.
Going from creatures of the past to lifestyles of the future, we have Trick Style for the Dreamcast. This title combines young hipsters and hoverboarding, and it may trigger memories of Wipeout XL.
Trick Style for the Dreamcast is a futuristic racing game that lets you roam around exploring various spaces on your hoverboard. You choose a racer and a board, and then go to the main staging area called the Velodrome. From there, you enter into different rooms to select the challenge you're going to tackle next. The game is divided into 2 different tasks, challenging the Velodrome trainer to unlock new tricks, and racing the tracks to unlock new areas and boards. The racing tracks are spread across 3 different countries, Japan, the USA, and the UK. Once you've raced the 5 races in each country, you'll unlock a boss race, which usually isn't a race at all, but a velodrome-like challenge. Beating these will unlock new hoverboards for you to race with. Trickstyle has everything you would expect from a boarding game. Rails, ramps, loops, impossible jumps, and 1080-degree spins. Unfortunately, the tricks in the game aren't really eyebrow-raising, and the game's biggest problem is that it's too easy to beat. Graphics are Trickstyle's biggest asset. The tracks, backgrounds, and board effects all look great. The soundtrack is chock full of outstanding techno, though the sound effects are trite and unappealing. Trickstyle doesn't do a whole lot of revolutionizing, and ultimately ends up being just another boarding game. Ben Stahl of VideoGames.com gave Trickstyle a 6.4 out of 10.
Inspired as we were with the way Trickstyle dolled up skateboarding with futuristic bells and whistles, we couldn't help scrounging up some cheats to soup up Madden 2000 for the N64. And the results were, well, just watch.
To enter cheats, go to the secret code section of the menu and plug in the following letters. If you truly believe that the body is evil, type in guillotine and enjoy headless footballers from Minnesota or wherever. And if you're bozo for the pigskin, then type in scary clown for that big top game experience.
Here's the kick.
And if you think that size doesn't matter, then type in mice and men for the David and Goliath style of footballing.
Check his medulla oblongata. His helmet flew right off. Look, it's rolling down the field.
If you're looking for more cheat codes, go to the Game Help section of our website. There you'll find everything from Aliens vs. Predator to Zelda. And if you have cheats of your own, send them to us at Gamespot at ZDTV.com. Coming up on Gamespot TV, we visit the realm of Nosgoth in our review of the follow-up to Blood Omen, Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver. And the boys of the WCW put in a ringside appearance in WCW Mayhem. You better recognize. Welcome back. Well, it's been a couple of months, so of course it's time for another wrestling game. This time it's the WCW's turn in the ring, accompanied by a new developer. Let's check out the result.
After a rather high-stakes game of musical chairs where THQ acquired the WWF license, EA was able to step in and grab the WCW license and produce the new game WCW Mayhem. The company has taken the same approach it typically does with all sports games, which is to be as faithful to the source material as possible. The result is a very good first effort, but still feels like a first-year title. Mayhem contains a load of rings, all based on WCW television and pay-per-view events, and there are a slew of wrestlers that get to battle it out. The main focus of the game is the ability to get out of the ring and fight your way to the backstage area, which is filled with chairs, tables, tasers, and other objects to bash your opponent's head in with. Mayhem is more arcade-like than other wrestling games, but there's still plenty of strategy involved. Reversals are easy to perform, but very hard to master. If your opponent hits a button to execute a move, and you hit the same one shortly thereafter, you'll reverse his attack. Reversals aside, the game really does boil down to who can execute a move first. While the arcade-style play does offer an alternative, it's not without its flaws, such as the introduction of a momentum meter that tells you how well you're doing in the match. The more momentum you get, the harder it is for your opponent to stop you, and when it's full, you can execute finishing moves. This really just makes it harder to come back from a deficit. The real problem with the game is computer AI. It's completely stupid. It may get off a few punches or kicks, or maybe even a reverse in the hardest difficulty setting, but it's possible to pull off a finisher in the first 30 seconds of the match. Graphically, the game looks good enough. There are collision problems, but the game has a pretty good camera. All in all, it's a pretty fun game that leaves you wanting more. Jeff Gertzman from VideoGames.com gave it a 7.6 out of 10.
The PlayStation version of Mayhem received a 7.7 from VideoGames.com. Check out their site for the review. And speaking of down for the count, we have a vampire game. Ooh, well, anyway, it's Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver. It's been out for a bit on the PlayStation, and now it's available for the PC.
Those who play Legacy of Kain Blood Omen not always enjoyed it, but were compelled to play due to its remarkable story. The 3D sequel, available for both the PlayStation and the PC, as seen here, shifts the focus and complicates rather than recycles pre-existing themes. Kain's world of Nosgoth is on the brink of destruction, as his son Raziel, who you play, returns to seek vengeance upon his father for condemning him to a watery abyss. This world, even in its state, is a wonder to behold with its decrepit architecture. And while seams do appear from time to time, it's a minor complaint. This is especially true when you consider how the game never pauses to load new scenery. Raziel himself looks equally good and controls tightly and responsibly with both the keyboard or a gamepad, and it's a pleasure to watch him jump, crawl, or glide through the game. These talents that Raziel has are numerous and should have led to this game never slowing down, so it does become disappointing when he is reduced to having to perform such menial tasks as arranging blocks to unlock doors. The game is less focused on combat than you may think, and Raziel's ability to shift from the material to the spectral plane makes for some very inventive puzzles. But the action that comprises the first half of the game gives way to badly contrived puzzles, and gives the impression that far more work was put into the first hours of Soul Reaver than the last. But even with these problems, it doesn't change the fact that Soul Reaver is original, enjoyable, and an excellent game by any standards except its own. Greg Kasabian from Gamespot.com gives it an 8.2 out of 10.
The PlayStation version of Soul Reaver received a 9 out of 10 from Videogames.com. If you want to check out the review, go to the website. And now, if you're having trouble with your hedgehog, we have the strategy guide for Sonic Adventure.
If you are one of the fortunate to have played Sonic Adventure for the Dreamcast, you know that acquiring and understanding all the items and information in the game can be a bit daunting. Getting an A on a level can be tough. So here are a couple of tips to help you increase your hedgehog's happiness. One of the keys to maximizing your coin collecting boss beating potential is to find the hidden items for each character. Each item gives the character special abilities. For Sonic, go into the sewer in front of City Hall to find the Lightspeed shoes. These allow you to charge up and capture any linear series of rings, no matter how it may seem to defy gravity.
Ready, go!
Next, get the crystal ring from the second floor of the hotel.
This is the crystal ring.
This item greatly reduces the time necessary for Sonic to charge, making for faster attacks and takeoffs.
Ready, go!
Finally, find the ancient light on the floating island part of Mystic Ruin. The light lets Sonic attack enemies while in the ball form, preventing accidental hits due to careless cruising.
This is the ancient light.
Tails, Knuckles, Amy, EO12, and Big the Cat all have similar hidden items to increase their abilities. Find them and take advantage. Know and learn each character's strengths, such as Tails' ability to fly, and use that to get through the levels faster, get more coins, and beat the bosses. And if you find yourself getting a bit lost, just ask the glowing hint balls. They will point you in the direction you need to go.
Did you walk around the whole city?
If you're in need of more cheats, tips, or strategies, go to the Game Help section of the Gamespot TV website. There you'll find out how you can win a free USB Netcam just by visiting ZDTV.com and registering for Netcam Week 3. So until next week, remember, if you think you're playing too much, play more! See ya.